you've been watching self-improvement content for a while, but you haven't yet really been able to implement those changes that you want to see in your life. Okay, now there are two main reasons for this. Number one, mental health. Let's just get that out of the way. What I'm going to be talking about today is not mental. It is not the very biggest reason, but it's a close second, and that is routine. Okay, so there's this thing called self-improvement depression, where a lot of the time guys will start watching self-improvement videos. They'll learn all of these habits and change that they want to be implementing into their life. They just won't quite be able to. They'll be holding themselves to this high standard, but they won't be able to find that kind of consistency that they want. And so they'll fall short every time and they'll feel miserable about it, and it feels hopeless. It feels frustrating. I've been there from time to time. For the most part, I avoided it by implementing what I'm going to teach you today. But yeah, it just feels awful. So with the help of this video, I'm hoping you can avoid this, because it's a horrible feeling. So, routine. Now, there are 4 main benefits that I found from personal experience by implementing routine in my life. And those are, number 1, it simplifies all of your self-improvement, in that it boils down all of these different habits that you need to be aware of and be trying to put conscious effort in to implement into your life. It boils that all down to one habit, and that is the habit of following your routine. Okay, now so long as your routine includes all of these habits that you want to be implementing in everyday life, if you just build a habit of following your routine, all of it will just fall into place, right? And that's exactly what we want. We want to make this as easy as possible. Second habit is, I'm sure you guys have experienced this. Maybe you set out to do something, you say you're going to do something, there's maybe some work you want to get done, you want to go to the gym, you want to go on a walk in nature. But then when it comes to the time to do that, you get sort of overtaken by your lesser urges. The urge to watch porn, the urge to laze around and do nothing, the urge to watch TV, Netflix, whatever. We've all been there. It happens to all of us. It's completely natural. But what isn't okay is to sort of stick your head in the sand and pretend that this isn't an issue you have to deal with. It's not easy to fix, but there's a very simple step you can take to sort of diminish the effect that this phenomenon has on your life, and that is to just decide in advance exactly what it is you're going to do, to take control away from this current version of you that's overwhelmed by these desires. Now, it's not just, I'm going to do this. It needs to be more ironclad than that. You need to have put conviction into it. You need to put your word into it. You need to have written out on a sheet of paper exactly what it is you're going to be doing at that time. And the most effective way to do this, in my opinion, is literally just to have a solid routine that you follow every single day that tells you exactly what you need to be doing at each moment in time. So then if you're doing the wrong thing, if you're just following your urges, if you're not being productive, you will know, because you can judge it so easily, because you'll see the difference between the way you're acting and the way your routine is telling you to act. Was that the second or third? The third benefit is basically your brain makes connections between these different habits you're implementing. So say your routine includes you meditating, then immediately after that journaling, say it's in your evening routine. By performing that sequence of meditating and then journaling over and over again, your brain makes the connection between the two. So every time you meditate, it will be a lot easier for you to journal, just because doing it in that order will align more with your identity. So anytime you meditate, it will be maybe twice as easy to journal as it would have been if it was in some other random part of your routine. And the fourth and final benefit, you can see me looking down because it vanished out of my head, is it forces you to stay consistent. Now, this is the topic of this video. This is probably the main impact of routine, is if you just follow your routine, if you build that habit of following your routine, no matter how you feel, no matter what you're thinking, no matter how your brain tries to convince you that you don't need to be doing that, if you just build that habit, okay, unless you break that habit, you will by necessity find consistency. Because if your routine tells you to do the same thing every day, unless you break the habit of following your routine every day, you will have to do the same stuff every day, and therefore find consistency in your habits because you're doing them at the same time every day. I'm repeating myself a lot, but you get the idea. So what is the practice? I mean, you make a routine. It's not very hard. I will say, get a sheet of paper, get a pen, pause the video if you have to. Just make sure you go and do this right now, because otherwise you're never going to do it. Get a piece of paper, get a pen, make a list of all the habits that you want to have in your daily routine, like just all the healthy habits. Obviously, don't put in watching TV, watching TikTok, because you don't want that to be a fundamental part of your life, do you? So once you've got that list of things you want to do, literally, I've got an example here. Draw out a table that has times and exactly what you're doing at that time of the day, right? And you want this to be the same every day. If you need to make different routines for different days because some things you can't really work around, so be it. But the most important thing is that you have a specific time block in the day to do all of the things that you want to do. And ideally, you won't have any gaps after you've done that. After you've allocated all of your time to the things that you find important, ideally you wouldn't have any gaps left over, okay? Because those gaps are the times when you're left to your own sort of decision making. I know it sounds stupid, but that's really dangerous, right? Because those times are when you end up watching porn, playing video games, wasting hours on end. Because when you give your sort of short-term thinking monkey brain the power to make the decision for you, i.e., you don't have a clear idea of exactly what you should be doing at that time, you will naturally fall into the more pleasurable, instant gratification, but sort of damaging behaviors. So ideally, leave no gaps. If you are going to leave a gap, I would strongly advise you don't, but if you're going to leave a gap, literally title it free time, and then make a list of all of the habits, all of the activities that are off limits during that time. I'm not entirely sure how helpful this will be. Like, genuinely, it is just so helpful to have no free time in your day. That sounds awful, I know, but if you decide beforehand exactly what thing you enjoy that you're going to do during that time that would otherwise be just a blank space, it will make it so much easier to avoid those bad habits.